About
Hi,
the
Jackie.
camera. Let's
How's
go.
it going?
All right. Here we
Yeah.
go.
So
Let's get right into it.
Jacquie Lustig, super consecrated woman from Idaho and current assistant vocations director for the consecrated women. Wow. Welcome to this ambitious podcast where we're trying to solve the problem. How do we build holy families?
It's a big problem. That's a real thing.
It's a big project. And really, the goal of this podcast is not to solve the world's problems of building holy families, but it's giving resources and ideas, really. It's just really discussions on things that may help you, parents out there, on how you can build a holy family.
I love this concept. I've been working in Cincinnati for 10 years with lots of different ages in the teenager gap. So between 10 years old and 18 years old. And I'm doing ECYD in Cincinnati, kind of like Father is doing ECYD in Louisiana. So I love this idea. I love this concept, and I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, and when you talk about, at least for me, and the reason you're here is, I think, and I've felt it, that you have that too, where we can't just work with the kids, and to do everything we can to provide the best experience for boys and girls in our youth work, and they don't go home to families that continue that accompaniment and that development of their spiritual and human virtue life. You know, we're missing the second half of the package, right? So, really, just one simple question for this episode.
Shoot.
When a parent or dad or mom come home and they're exhausted and they do want to love their kids, because who doesn't? And they're not capable of doing that, or they feel like, I know I should, and you're telling us we should love our children, but for different circumstances, whether they're exhausted or tired, or maybe the kids aren't resonating with the love they're trying to give.
Actively rejecting it, maybe.
Especially whoever it is that's out there, the older kid who's now rebellious. What do you say to those parents?
I think the first thing I would say is it's a hard job to be a parent. Like, actually, sincerely, like, because I hear the question that you're asking is, obviously you love your kids 24 hours a day. That's not even a question. It's, I get tired, and sometimes I run up against like a wall of being able to show it. And I feel like there's been a lot of moms, at least for me, over the past several years in Cincinnati, that they're incredible humans. And especially that first or second teenager coming through, if they're really difficult, it can be like this sense of a discouragement and like that I'm moving up a steep cliff, because this is like a conversation that's normal for like a first year, 7th grade mom, right? And I feel so grateful that we get these conversations, as she'll be like, my girl is like, I get like raving reviews from her teachers, and then I like send her to your, whatever challenge club, and she's like, oh, she's so mature. And I'm like, yeah. Meanwhile, the mom is like having screaming matches with this child, trying to figure out like, why is she yelling at me, or what am I doing wrong? So anyway, like, first one's first is I actually think you guys have a hard job, because you're the place that the kid kind of tries on their ugly side, because when you're growing up like that, you don't know if you're good. Like, you have so many changes, like from 6th to 7th grade for girls, or you're like, where your number one question as a little teenager or just a teenager is, am I actually good? Like, am I good? So we get the side that they're trying to prove to themselves, and in a good way, right? On their outside world. Yes. Yeah, I am good. Yeah. And when they get home, you guys get the parts where they're even if they don't know it, I think sometimes those girls or those boys are testing to see how lovable can all of me be. Yeah. Nobody has a harder job than that. Like, nobody has a harder job than being a parent, because you're kind of like the cliff that those waves keep crashing against. And sometimes just to stay the course and just give yourself a little permission to say, like, you know what? I'm doing a good job. Even if you're not doing it perfect, you're doing a good job, because it's the constancy of having that. And my vast experiences with parents, I'm sure you're like this. If you care enough that your kids are working in programs like what we're working with, or the equivalents, right? You're invested. You're invested in their lives. And I think sometimes it's just a matter of getting like a breath of fresh air in them to say, like, okay, Mom, if you're listening to this, or Dad, if you're listening to this, you're doing awesome. You actually really doing a good job, because you're simply there. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a helpful
huge
thing to know.
That's huge. And obviously, what's coming to mind when we're sharing that is, you can answer the question. Sorry, the question is not, how should I love my kid? That's a whole different topic.
Mhm.
It's if I do love my kid and I think I'm doing a good job, or I hope I am, but even if they're not responding in the way that I would like, or it's an off and on, up and down, whatever, in those emotional moments, to trust that your love is actually working,
Yeah.
right? And a priest friend of mine told me, on one side, you can love someone and they love you in return, and that's beautiful. It's mutual. It's awesome, and it fulfills you, and kind of that friendship type of love where it's mutual. But then there's that love where you give and you think and you hope that you're actually giving what you're supposed to give, and if you don't receive, it's equally sanctifying,
Mm-hmm.
and it's actually touching them in a way that you don't even see,
Mm-hmm.
and that's more purifying.
Yeah.
But obviously, there's always, at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, if I'm actually loving in the way that I think they should be loved,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you are, and you're exhausted either way, just trust.
Yeah.
And you are doing a good job. And sometimes, a lot of parents, you just need to say, keep going.
Yeah. And I think the hardest thing about that teenager space, right, is you're never quite sure what works because the feedback is never quite consistent. Yeah. Like you might say something that's really on and you might still get that. Yeah. But the point is, I think the benchmarks of like what's helpful for this kid at this age is, am I showing up? Yeah. Like Christ under the cross. Am I just showing up? Yeah. And you can stumble on the way up the hill, or you can, not feel like it's like the place in life that you'd prefer to be at. But the point is, and how do you know if like you're doing a good job and you're doing enough, right? If you're showing up.
Yeah.
Like, are you trying to be there most of the time? Yeah.
That's
doesn't have
huge.
to look pretty, and it probably doesn't because they don't look pretty because they're growing so fast that they might feel the same way you do. So I guess this is just a little breath of fresh air and a little shot of encouragement of like, count on us. We're on your team. You're doing an awesome job. And thanks for watching. I guess.
Showing up. So keep doing that. These discussions will continue developing. And if you do have any comments or questions or ideas, send them my way. And you may hear more of Jacquie because a treasure. She's a treasure chest of wisdom and experience.
Oh, well, thanks, Father.
Yeah.
It's awesome to be here.
So thanks for
count on the prayers
us.
from all of the consecrated women. And thanks for having us on.
Yeah. God bless you.
God bless.
God bless you. God bless you. God
Forever.
bless us. Everyone.
Forever and ever. Amen.